How's it going, guys? RealRadman here, back at it again with another video. Now, before we get started on the race review, I want to read something from Brad Keselowski, who basically, he did my race review for me. This is the main point I want to say, so let's just read it right here. You seem very frustrated. It is frustrating. We weren't as fast as we wanted to be today. That is always frustrating. I'm probably as much frustrated with myself as I am frustrated with the situation, and frustrated with the sport that we can't design a better car than this that you can race without having to do everything on the restart. That is all part of it, I guess. It is where we are right now. You said one groove. Did the tire dragon help at all? They made a good effort. It was better than nothing, but there are limitations. The way the car is, it needs a lot more help than a tire dragon. It is a poorly designed race car, and it makes racing on tracks like this very difficult to put on the show we want to put on for our fans. You do what you can to gauge and claw on the restarts and get everything you get. You have to put yourself in bad situations to do that, and that is where we are. If you don't make those moves on the restarts, then you run in the back, or you have a bad day. The scenario that the car designed more than the track. What would you suggest? It is time for the sport to design a new car that is worthy of where this sport deserves to be and the show it deserves to put on for the fans. I mean, it sums it up perfectly. It really does. Alright, so on to the race. I'll talk about it like I usually do. Basically, guys, this race was a domination station race, as I like to call them. There's always a couple of races that you arrive at the track, there's a domination station right outside of it, there's a car that gets to the domination station and just kind of chills there for the entire weekend. And today that was Martin Truex Jr. He dominated the race in and out. Kyle Busch did lead the most of the first stage, but it just wasn't. I knew right away that when I saw Kyle Busch and I saw Truex, it was a done deal. Truex was going to win. So stage one, nothing really happened of any sort to talk about, so Martin Truex wins stage one. Stage two, there were a couple incidents. So Jimmy Johnson, Brad Keselowski, they get hooked up there. Brad took all responsibility for it, and that's where that quote comes in. Clint Boyer was involved as well, but he didn't really get any damage, so he was good. But Jimmy Johnson was knocked out of the race, and the interview was funny because he basically sounded like he wanted to basically just go home. Right after that restart, Casey Kane and Trevor Bayne get together again with the having to gain everything on a restart. You got to put yourself in a bad situation, and they got into a bad situation. So those two had to suffer the consequences for that. And then Trevor Bayne would also wreck later on in the race, and that would end his night. Hayes had a flat tire. This would cause a little bit of a strategy in stage two because that happened about 24 laps to go. So guys like Chase Elliott, Jamie Mack, they pit. Truex, Kyle Busch, they stay out. And that basically ended up being the strategy. But if you were out front, if you had clean air, you weren't getting past. Joey Logano was on, I think, 30-lap older tires than the guys around him, and he stayed in second for most of the run. I think that was in after stage two and a stage three. So the end of stage two, Truex wins it. There was no big surprise there. And then stage three, it was just boring. There's nothing really to say. Stage three, Truex dominates. I'm not blaming Truex. It's just the repaved track and just not being able to really provide racing. You could pass someone, you can try to get below them and pass someone, but you lose so much time trying to pass them that you can't make it back up to the car in front of you because everyone's running one line. And it's different when it's at a short track where you're running one line, and then it's a mile and a half, because the mile and a half, it doesn't work. At short tracks, the one lane thing actually does work. That's why everyone loved Bristol, because of the beating and banging. By a mile and a half, so if you beat and bang, you wreck, so you can't technically do it. And that's just a big problem. With 2 laps to go, the caution came out for Kurt Busch blowing an engine, and that came out of nowhere. And basically what happened was Truex had about 15 cars of buffer. So whatever he did, Kyle Larson in second had 5, 6, 7 seconds to decide what he wanted to do. So obviously Truex stays out. That's what he has to do, because if he pits, everyone else stays out. If he stays out, everyone else pits. So just to have the better of the odds, you want to be starting first, so he stays out. Everyone else pits. And that, at that point, we all thought he was screwed. But on the restart, Martin Truex Jr. was able to get a great run and hold off Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch gets loose. Larson gets past him. Elliott gets past him. And Truex, he gets the win he deserves. He deserved that win. There was no... If he would have lost that race, I would have actually felt really bad, because that's just... When you dominate like that, you got to win that race. You just have to. And it was more impressive that he was able to hold off the guys on new tires on the restart. He didn't spin his tires. He got a good shot from Larson, keeping the car under control. And everything was cool sailing from there. But let's talk about the issues. Basically, you could go back to the beginning part of this video and see what everyone or what Brad Keselowski said. And that's it. The cars are just not good enough. And you see the combination of just bad in it. I can't even find a better word than bad, but when you have a repaved racetrack on a 1.5 miles, or let's say a repaved racetrack on a 2 mile, that's where you see the problems. Because when you have a repaved track and it's all one lane, that usually tends to, even if we had the cars from 2003, the racing still would not be that great. But you add into this touch of how aerodynamic the cars have become, and that's what I think we're all trying to stress here, is how aerodynamic these cars are. We fabricate these bodies endlessly to gain speed, and back in the day, that wasn't really how it was. You were just kind of, you had a lot less aero in it, you had a lot less you had more downforce, but you had to really have a lot of off-throttle time. And there was a lot more power as well. There was an extra 125 horsepower. Remember, they took that away a couple of years ago. There was an extra 125 horsepower. That's more horsepower. That's more torque. And those cars were very hard and very difficult to drive in and out the corners, which would allow for passing. These cars rely so much on side force. They rely so much on air. You're racing air and not other drivers. That is the biggest problem. If you're a casual fan and you're watching the race, or even if you're a die-hard fan, you want to see racers battle racers. You don't want to see a racer battle air. You can't see air. It's not entertaining to battle air. And that's the problem. You get in below another car and you literally can't do anything. After 2 laps, you get behind a car 3 car lengths and you can't pass them because the air is what's basically fighting you. It's not the car in front of you. It's the air fighting you, and that just has to be solved. And it's gotten worse throughout the years. I understand that it's racing and that, we are going to have this issue. Every sport, every motorsport has this issue. But when it comes to stock cars, we have gone backwards in terms of the quality of racing. Even on restrictor plates, I believe the best restrictor plate package was 2001. Now, why did they take that away? Everyone knows why they took that away. There was obviously an incident. But the best package was 2001. Go watch the 2001 restrictor plate races. Watch all 4 of them. They are incredible. The pack racing that goes on there is incredible. A driver really does make a difference in that pack racing. Nowadays, you get in the pack, you can't move because of air. That's basically what's happening. You race side by side. You're not racing side by side in the corners. You're racing side by side on the straights or getting in or off a corner. You can't race side by side in the middle because you're just trying to side draft. That's all. You're trying to get to that quarter panel and get that or slow that car down. You're not technically trying to pass them. You're just trying to pass the air. You're trying to get the air to slow them down and go ahead on your way. There's a lot of issues. Brad Keselowski summed it up perfectly. It is not a good car. They got to fix it. It's obviously there's safety reasons. I touched on this in the Michigan post-race review. Obviously, there's a lot of safety reasons as to why this car has to be like this. It is an incredibly safe car. It's really hard to see like a catastrophic injury happening in this car because you've seen some of the accidents we've had over the last couple of years, and like especially Austin Dillon in 2016, I think it was, or 2015, one of those 2 years. 2016, I'm pretty sure. And you see they're able to walk away. You go have Kyle Busch hit a wall head on. He breaks a leg, but he doesn't, have a catastrophic injury. So these cars are incredibly safe, but we've sacrificed the racing for it. And when we had the best car, which was 2001, we sacrificed one of the best race car drivers for it. So that's the dilemma. And we had great racing. We had great plate racing. We had great cars. And then as that incident happened, over the years, the racing has diminished in terms of quality, and the safety has increased. Now, I'm not saying that's a big problem, but we have to have the safety still be there with the quality of racing. And the proof is there. Since 2008, NASCAR has been at a decline. If anyone wants to deny that, you're just blind. You got to open your eyes and see it. So the ratings have been going down each year. The racing has been going down. We keep taking downforce away. It's not good enough. it's not solving the issue because downforce is not air. It's downforce is technically not aerodynamics. It's just the amount that the car is basically the force it has on the ground. We're relying on so much side force and so much aerodynamics. It's just getting way too ridiculous. So, to be honest, this was more like a rant instead of a post-race review. But the race had nothing to really review. So that's the problem that we have at the moment. Repaved tracks obviously have a part of it, but that is the problem. Guys, comment down below. What can you, I mean, when one of the drivers comes out and says it, like, we have a problem. That's not just any driver. That's Brad K. He has a loud voice in the NASCAR garage. We got a problem, and people have to open their eyes and realize it's a problem. The ratings are going down, the attendance is going down, the money's going down, and when the money goes down, that's when they really start to care. So what do we gotta do to fix it? Gotta get some smart people in there and design a better car, because this car is just not good enough. So guys, if you like the video, make sure that like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. I will see you guys later. Hope you are having a fantastic night. I'm gonna go to bed, so peace out.
Even if I tried, even if I wanted to, and I can't change. Even if I tried, my love, she keeps me warm.